I'm sorry?
Since you have countdown.
That's all right.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to a demo of the Graphics Python library for CS 1124 Winter 2025. I will start by what we always start with in Python, IDLE. Where are you, idle? There you are. And there it is, and we know we can't just start typing here because this is not our editor. This is the runtime sandbox. So I'm going to go to File, and I try to, in the interest of time, save a little bit of time by already, in my examples, typing in the beginnings of example 4. And if you wonder where that came from, look at your graphics reference. I know I have one. This is just that little program right there. I just went ahead and typed it in. They gave you a little demo program and said, here's how you use our graphics library. So here it is. And all we got to do is go run module. And we start with a red paragraph of death. No module named graphics. Okay, here's the deal. This very first line up here, that's new and unusual. We haven't seen that before. From graphics import star. That's what you do when you need to link to or connect to a library that is not just the standard library. And you're thinking, well, we hadn't been using no standard library. Yes, we have. Eval, input, print, all those things are in the standard library. Things like circles and squares and all that, those are not in the standard library. So we have to have a graphics library, and it's got to be named graphics.py. Wait, I've seen that before. Get out of the way. I'll shrink that down. Hope I can unshrink it later. If I search for emails from Dr. England, I don't even have to do that. I can just search for graphics, I hope. You type graphics and then you say, I hope. And here's the email I sent you. And this is the graphics library itself, .py. I'll right-click on that and save link as... Oh, this is an important point. I'll stop trying to be funny and get dead serious here for a second. This has to go in exactly the same folder as any Python program that you want to use the graphics library with. In other words, you might even have to replicate it. You might have to copy it several places if you've got Python programs scattered out everywhere. Mine's just examples, and whoops. I'll get rid of the parentheses 1. It was going to try to save it somewhere where I already have it, apparently. So that should save it as graphics.py, yes. It's also a good idea, even though not required since you now have a paper copy, I'm going to download graphics.pdf, and I'm put that in the same folder. So we're all together, one big happy family. And I don't need email anymore. And you're just going to have to yell out questions, because I know I won't see your hand raised in the dark. Where were we? Here's Python all shrunk down. Let's try that again. Run module. Aha! We have graphics. They're teeny tiny, hard to see. But here is our graphics window. It won't even let me move it. There's a tiny little graphics window with a tiny little circle in it. So yes, we have made contact with our graphics library. But that is, whoops. It wants me to click inside the little square, and then it terminates normally. Now, let me catch up to where we were. First of all, it violates every fiber of my being, so I'm going to have to put at least a comment that says what this is. This is example 4.py. And save profusely. I'm pretty sure the hotkey for save is Control S. It was risky for me to do that without double checking. But the first line, I just got through saying what it is, but #, we are going to connect to the graphics library. That's what this line does. From graphics, there's got to be a library named graphics.py and some, wow, they just got bright all of a sudden. In some place where it can find it. Import means pull it into my program so I can use it. The star is a wildcard. That means everything. If we knew that we were writing an application that was only going to use circles, then we could say from graphics import circles. If we were only going to use squares, we could say from graphics import squares. If we were going to use both, from graphics import circles, comma squares. That's more trouble than it's worth. Star says, well, I'm not sure what I'm going to use, just bring me everything. So we're always going to just use graphics import star. Here's the main program. Now, one line at a time, what is this doing? We need to make a new graphics window object. And the reason these things are called objects is because they have their own little secret programs and data and everything inside, called methods and attributes, which you might remember those terms from last time. But we only need to know how to use it from the outside. For that, we have this interface description. And if we look at GraphWin objects, a GraphWin object puts a window on the screen, you can show stuff, yada, yada, yada. The important thing to us is that initial method there, the very first one. That's how you make a graphics window object. GraphWin and the title is my circle, and the width and height. Okay. Whoever wrote this little program must not have had me in class, because no, we do not do that. We do not put 100, 100 for width and height. What do we do? Anybody? Everybody. We use symbolic constants. You're exactly right. So up here, instead of saying 100, 100, I'm going to say width and yell it because it's a symbolic constant. And I could just say width and then say width down here. But that would be unenlightening for this reason.
Well, what if something changed and you'd be stuck?
You are way ahead of the game. Hold that comment. Remember that comment, or you can back up 10 seconds when you're watching the video and get that comment so that we know what's going on here, why we need both. Like, what if we need to change one but not the other? Width and height. Height should be set to something. There. Let's run this and see if I broke it. I run graphics programs like every 1 or 2 changes. I do not trust myself with this at all. There it is. It's still there and I didn't break it. And it is waiting. It will give me that warning if I click outside the box. It's waiting for me to click inside the box. And we'll get to that later on in the program in just a second. Let's venture into the real world. Not just a what if. That's tiny little box. I want it to be a width 600 and maybe the height. That could change independently because I've got width and height both as symbolic constants. So I could make the height 300, could I not? And there's no reason they have to be numbers that come out even. It could be 321. Can anybody predict what the output how it should look differently now? It'll be like that, a horizontal rectangle. Okay? We begin to see, yes, there is a legitimate use for symbolic constants here. And we click on the window to get out. I don't know what else to do to that line. Here's what's happened just now. The right-hand side of this creates a GraphWin object, which is described, and all the wonderful fun things you can do with graphics windows is described in our graphics PDF printout. And it says to make one, you need to specify a title and then a width and a height. And it also gives you an example, and I don't like the example because they didn't use symbolic constants. So don't follow their example, follow mine. The next one, this is making a circle object. Make a circle object. A circle object. Before I go one step further, has to be described in here somewhere if it is in the graphics library. And I can't see because the print's too small. I can't see because it's dark. In other words, I just can't see. It's got to be here somewhere. So let's play I Spy. Where do you see? Circle methods is at the top of page. Is that page 3? Turn to circle methods so we see what we can do with circles. Does everybody see circle methods?
Yeah.
The first thing, the first method it shows you for each of these different object types is this is how you make one. And you have to make an object before you can start doing things with it, before you can start setting the attribute values and using the methods and so forth. So I got to make a circle called C. There's nothing magic. C is just any valid variable name. There's nothing magic in when. I can, if I want to, just call that W, and I will, because it's less typing. So everywhere I had when, I'll put W. Is it a question, comment, observation?
You're just removing my name.
Oh, well, that's your initial.
Oh, that's
We can go with that. Okay, make a circle object. That is not self-explanatory whatsoever. This has so many things wrong with it. Look at it's called the constructor method, by the way. Look at the very first method listed for circle. What are the things that it's expecting to get in parentheses for it to make a circle?
Center point and the radius.
The radius, we can take care of that pretty quickly with a symbolic constant, which I'll start with what they had. You know what? No, that's fine. Radius. I can spell that. Radius equals 10. Make sure I didn't break it. There. Okay, it still works. I don't like this. I call this constructing objects on the fly. I would rather make not there, I wouldn't. I would rather make a separate object called center point. And then, after I've made it, whatever it takes to do that, then I think this becomes much more self-explanatory. Center point. This is going to be, well, making the point object is part of making the circle object, so I'll just leave the comment alone. Center point equals, now I need to make a point object. That'll be the center. And what was the center of that circle? 10, 10. You know that aggression shall not stand. But let me see if that still works. Oh, that doesn't look good.
It's 50-50. That's
10, 10. Oh, it was 50-50? See, I made a boo-boo. Now I've got to go in and change all of those numbers. How inconvenient. Well, we'll run it again. Run. Run. There. I still don't like that. Let's say our goal is we want that right smack dab in the middle of this graphics window. Sounds like a reasonable goal, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Click on this, make it go away. So not 50-50.
Yeah.
What?
160.5 for the height.
I'm not sure it'll take a fraction, but we'll see. It did. It went right in the middle. Yay! Now we get bold, we get confident, and we decide, you know what? I can work with an even bigger graphics window. How about 80432? See if we broke it. Not exactly what we wanted. What's wrong with this picture?
It's not in the center.
It's not in the center.
gotta change it to
How could we make it so it's in the center?
the calculation in there instead of just sticking over 100.
Calculate the coordinates rather than hard coding them. Don't put numbers in there.
Just half of what it
Now, watch the cursor. Watch the cursor, and I'll hypnotize you here. But the graphics window, which is not currently on the screen, and I can't run it again because I don't have anything in parentheses. But the graphics window coordinate system starts up here in the upper left corner. This is 0, 0. So here we go. This is 0, 0 all the way over to width, comma 0. If we start at 0, 0 and move down the screen, we're going from 0, 0 down to 0 for the x coordinate and height for the y coordinate. In other words, x increases as we go to the right, y increases as we move down. Armed with that understanding, I don't even know if it makes a difference in this case, but we'll say it does. How far over on our graphics window do I want to go for the center of my circle? Half? Oh. And how far down do I want to go? Is everybody okay with that? No. It's too late. I'm already running it.
It's not gonna,
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna go off.
I don't even see it. It's a tiny little piece of pi up there. What's wrong with that? What happened wrong?
You
You
just
just
put
put in
UAD
the
one half.
We want half a width and half a height, which I can do by saying width divided by 2 and height divided by 2. Now, we're changing stuff pretty quickly. Don't let us get away with anything. If you have any questions or comments or what ifs or whatever, you need to bring those up. Does that look okay now?
yes.
Ta-da! It's back in the middle. I think it's back in the middle. I'm not sure. I'm getting shy. I'm getting timid. I'm getting less confident. I'm going to change this back to only 300. And the height, I'm going to change that to only 200. Let's see what happens. It's a smaller window. It still works. The circle is still in the middle. Yay us! I am not satisfied with, and notice our window is big enough now that we can actually see the title up here. We haven't made mention of that before, but I just now did. That circle is tiny and almost invisible. Let's make it bigger. What if I want a circle that's still centered in the middle, but it's the height of the circle is half of the height of the window? The circle takes up height-wise, it takes up half the screen width-wise. Is everybody visualizing what I want us to do, try to do? How could we do that? Change the radius. The radius is not going to be 10 anymore. Height plus width? Height plus width divided by 2? Divided by 2, height plus width? I'm toying with you. Tell me something definite and I'll type it in.
Well, the radius would just be the width divided by 2, because the diameter would just be width, right?
Well, you know what? This is born for experimentation. Born to run. Run, run. Now, that's not quite what I had visualized.
No.
I suppose that's a circle, but as most of it's off the screen. So I'm clicking inside the window for reasons yet to be explained. I'm sorry? The square root? Here's the deal. Here's the width of the window. Here's the height of the window. I want a circle right smack in the middle that takes up half of the height of the screen. So here's the real question. What will the radius of that circle need to be? A fourth of what? The fourth of the height. It's not width divided by 2. Let's try height divided by 4. Run module. Okay.
There we go.
How you like me now? I think that's it. That circle is half as tall. We'll trust that it's half as tall as the window itself. Job done. Except that's still a pretty skinny circle. It's not impressive for all the work we've done on it. Let's play I Spy. How can I make the circle thicker? Let's look at the circle methods. You still have it turned to circle methods, right? A circle, we can get center. That's a method on a circle object. I can't read this. Get radius, I think. We can get the radius that's already been set for the circle. And then get points of some sort. I don't see anything that says set the width. Oh no! So we can't do anything to set the width of a circle. David Bowie would be so upset with us. Way back in the day, he had a song named Width of a Circle. Yes.
Did you want to thicken the line or make
I
it?
do. I really do.
Well, graphics objects, we can set the interior or set the outline to a given color, but I don't know if it'll thicken it, but it'll make it more visible.
Why are you looking at graphics objects? We're wanting to change the circle.
Because it says the interior of the object. The object right now just happens to be a circle.
Right.
You could
The-
do a square or a rectangle.
Right. The object we're working on is a circle, but if the specific things that only apply to circle, if we can't find what we want to do there, then we can go shopping elsewhere. In this case, in the parent class, if you remember that parent-child relationship description. So all the stuff graphics objects can do are at our disposal. Set fill, mental note, we want to do
Oh,
that.
wait, we set width.
set outline,
sets the width of the outline
set
of the
width.
object.
You know, while we're here, let's just go shopping. Let's just do all that. Set the width.
Set width pixels.
And we're doing, whoops, there has to be a circle before we can set it on the circle. So C dot set width. And just a reminder, you're not going to see set width listed on those circle methods. It is a method on all graphics objects. So anything a graphics object can do, a circle can also do. It gets those for free. It inherits those. And set it to what? No. I'll even be more specific. I'll make the typing even worse. That's too much typing. The width of a circle. Circle width. I can still set it to 5 if you want me to. Mental note, I'm going to need to put comments in this before I distribute it. Circle. I am doing an excellent job of typing this morning. I wonder if it's because it's Friday. Let's try 5. If that doesn't work, we'll try something bigger or smaller. Run module. Oh my goodness. That shows up a lot better than I thought. I feel empowered. I'm going to make it even thicker. All I got to do, now, subtly, what you might have noticed, what you might have not, is when I want to make changes, after I've got everything working, if I want to make changes to the appearance, I've got like this little control up here. It's almost like a remote control, where I can tweak my symbolic constants, and they are changed throughout the program. And I'll do it just to show I can. I'll change this to 320 and this to 220, and it should still work. It should still put the circle right smack in the middle, and now I sound like Jerry Seinfeld. Run. Oh, that is a thick circle. The window, I guess, is a little different, but I can't tell.
You might fill in hypothetically the whole circle by this.
That's an interesting question. Can we fill in the circle? While we're still here on graphics objects, let's just experiment. After we've made a graphics object, we can do all these things, including, what's the very first one?
Set fill color.
Set fill color.
Yeah, but I was asking if you could fill it with the circle width thing.
That'll
Just
fill
like
the
make the
inside
width
of the circle.
huge.
I guess I could make the width so big. If I set the width equal to the radius,
So you
that's
could
going to
do
fill it in.
And I was wondering if you could.
That's not a direct way.
Will
That's
it give you an error message if you do more than radius?
That's an interesting question. Dun dun dun!
Let's try.
Oh, you have a weird thing hanging off the edge.
So do you.
Damn.
Well, you started it.
I'm saying the circle, not you.
Yeah, okay. I don't know what happened there.
Circle had a point.
Maybe it like over.
Maybe it went, I think maybe it went so far that it's doing some sort of a weird topological thing where some of the width bled over to the other side.
Turns into white. Maybe.
We could probably discuss the philosophical implications the rest of the class period, but I'd rather not. Run module, okay. Now, you know what? I'm beginning to think that there is a maximum width we could set. I bet that's it.
No.
No?
He said all.
Oh. But that's just speculation.
Might be why they have the set fill, because people were trying to like hack it. And they were like, well, it's not gonna work.
Well, let's play by their rules. They wrote it, so we'll do what they want us to do. What is set fill supposed to do?
Yeah,
It's just, you're gonna get a paragraph.
a depth.
Here?
That is right. Just so happens to be right.
Set fill.
You know what? Here, I'm going to do a controlled error. We make this error on purpose so that when it shows up for real, we know, aha, I know exactly what I did wrong. But let's go ahead and proceed as if we think that's going to work, even though we know it's not. What does set fill want as in parentheses?
We can pick a color that has to be in quotations.
Okay. What color do you want?
Pink.
Blue.
Sorry, I should beat you to it.
2 lines of the divide.
We'll do blue for the next thing.
Great.
Oh, I expected it. Just, well, that was an easy one. Unmatched closing parenthesis. So let's match it. Now notice, we're not just saying set width, circle width, and set fill. When you are here's the terminology. When you are invoking methods on an object, you put the object first, then a dot, and then you put the name of the method you want it to do. And we've done that all the way through here. Well, only a couple of places. So yeah, all the way through. On the circle, we set the width, so we had to say our circle variable name, c dot set width, and c dot set fill. Because we can't do, unlike print, where we just say print Happy Friday, we can't do that here. We can't just say set width because it doesn't know what to set the width on. Is everybody okay with that idea? Okay, let's see if we can get a pink circle for crying out loud. Ooh, that's pink. It looks artistic. Okay, let's set, how can we set the circle so that instead of being a thick black circle, it's a blue circle?
Change pink to blue.
No. Try again. But thank you for playing. What other methods are there that might change the color of the outline?
Oh,
Of that, like
set
the,
outline color.
oh, okay. You mean like the line itself?
If you look at the second graphics object method that's described, I think that says set outline, doesn't it?
Yes.
And it wants a color. So even though set outline is a little bit cryptic and vague and mysterious, that they want a color tells us that, yeah, that must be what sets the color of the outline. Set outline blue.
How many colors are there? Like,
All the colors of the rainbow. The named colors, I think there's maybe about 20, but we're not going to be using named colors. When we do our own colors in our own graphics projects, once we get going, to get the ball rolling, we'll be using hexadecimal numbers again. They come back.
Also, does Python have, so for R, you can look up and it has like a sheet basically and it tells you every single number, like every color you could possibly use.
There are lots of websites that show
Does
you
Python
hexadecimal
have
colors.
one like that where it's like, here's how you type the exact color to get like a very specific
No, if you want a very specific shade of pink, if you're going to be working in nothing but shades of pink and you want to see what some of them are, you'll have to go to a website. But there are hexadecimal, I don't know if I mentioned when we were talking about hexadecimal numbers, but the most common real world application that I know of just brute force playing out hexadecimal numbers are setting colors for web pages and apps and things on the web. And there are not just 20 of those. There's about 16.5 million, I think. So it'll take some time for you to find the very best color, but you can. You could just, I guess, run them all through here and experiment.
I'm
Run.
just curious, I know R, they have for, you, like I said, there's like so many colors, you just look them up, and they just like kind of tell you.
You'll find some that strike you so
Yeah.
that you don't have to peruse 16 million colors.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've got it, but that's a too dark of a blue. I think it knows the light version of some of these. It might even know light pink, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure it knows light blue. Hunt and peck and run module. Oh, a baby ball, a bouncy baby ball. Oh, I did it wrong. I clicked outside the window and it's still there. Whoops, I did something very wrong there. No, I've broken it and I shall not be able to retrieve it. Can't.
what happens if you
Don't let this happen to you. I want to click inside the graphics window to make it go away, and I will finally get around to explaining that now. Over here in this program, now that we've got our circle chugging along, might as well make this bigger. What have we got so far? Everything here. Any question about anything here? Now, if you wonder, if you find a Python graphics program on the web and you want to experiment with that, if you wonder, well, now, what does that line do? C.draw, I wonder what that line does. One way to find out is to comment it out and see what it does without it. So, bye-bye, C.draw. We don't need you. Run module. We'll get our graphics window on our circle without it. We'll get our graphics window in circle. Here's the deal. I call this the Mother May I step. All this work we did to construct this gorgeous circle object that's a baby toy. If we don't tell it to draw itself in a graphics window, then we won't be able to see it. This says the circle object, you know that circle object you've been working on so hard up here? Now draw it so we can see it for crying out loud inside some graphics window. And we only have one graphics window, W. So we tell it to draw itself inside graphics window W. Okay? Now, here's a more subtle, more advanced question. What if I don't say w.getMouse?
It will disappear entirely. Like it'll just pop up and then go. Because it's not waiting for you to interact with it. Oh, there you go.
Can you see it again? Did you miss it? Let me try one more time.
It doesn't even show the circle.
What the hey is going on here?
Just waiting for
This
it.
comment kind of gives it away a little bit.
Pauses for the user to click a mouse in the window and returns where the mouse was clicked as a point object.
If we were to look, the graphics window itself is not a graphics object. It is not an animal like a dog. It has all its own methods that don't work for anything else. And let's see, we could make one. Like somewhere it's got to have our get mouse. I guess it's the back of the first page. Yeah, about a third of the way. No. Where's get mouse? Is it the third of the way down on this?
Top-ish, it's the third one.
1, 2, 3. Get mouse. Get mouse. And I'll let you read that in your own leisure time because I can't see it. But what it does, get mouse just sits there and taps its foot and waits for you to click on the mouse inside window W. That's why I kept having to move back over to window W and click inside the window for this program to know that I had done it and then to close the window. So the life cycle of the window, with no matter what we draw in it, we have to make one at the very beginning. That's called the no, it's not. It's called the constructor. And then we do methods on the window, draw stuff in it using our circle object and all that stuff, and tell them to draw themselves in window W. Then we say w.getMouse to pause and reflect on our handiwork and look and see what we've got before it disappears. Because if we don't have this line, as you just saw, it makes a beeline for the goal and closes the window. That's called the destructor. That just means take it out of memory. Take all the stuff out of that object out and destroy it. Throw it away. Here's a what if for you. What if? Well, I was going to say what if we sandwiched in a bunch of get mice here, but I don't think that that's going to really have any effect because this is all done behind the scenes before we even draw it. If I were to sandwich, maybe I'll build this into the lab. If I were to sandwich a bunch of draws in between here, we would see this circle change incrementally. We would see our center, then we would see the width get big all of a sudden, then we'd see it turn pink all of a sudden, then we'd say it turn blue every time we click the mouse. I'm not sure I have time to do that. We'll pretend like I do. I can maybe facilitate it with that. Right click, copy, and as soon as we make a circle, we'll draw it. Control V. Can't see the cursor. Control V. Control V. Is that it? My indentation got messed up somehow. Someone, while I'm repairing the cosmetics of the indentation here, what should this do? What do you predict this will do?
It'll lay it out one at a time, but you're gonna have to click the mouse for each step to happen.
I'll have to click the mouse every time a change is made. This makes the circle and draws it. Then I click to move on. This sets the width to something bigger. Then I click and move on. This colors it pink, and I click and move on. And then finally I set it blue, and we already had the draw and a click for that. That's the plan. Will it work? Who knows? Okay. Phase 1. There's the circle. Now I got to click it. No, I click it outside the window. Does nothing but make it look like the window went away, but it didn't. It's still back here. I didn't mean to scare you. And then I click in the window. Now it got thick. What'll happen next when I click again? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Object currently drawn. It's trying to tell me you can't draw a circle if it's already drawn. So what can we do?
Get rid of the draw.
Get rid of the draw stuff. We drew it up here, and apparently once is enough, so we don't need that. All we need to do is have a get mouse to stop it. So it was even simpler than I was making it. Dr. England, how dare you do something and you don't even know it? Well, these things happen. I will confess, secret I can no longer keep. I am not an expert in Python or graphics, either one. A lot of this stuff is stuff I actually do have to experiment with to find out what it does. That's really the only way to learn a new language, a new system, a new library. I mean, don't expect me to tell you absolutely everything you're going to have to know. You got to try this stuff out. This is me being philosophical, trying to cover my butt on all the errors I just made, if you were wondering. Will it work now? There's the circle. Cross your fingers. Think positive thoughts. We did it. Da-da.
Beautiful.
Wasn't it, though? That's scaring me. I think we can do it without the red paragraph.
No red paragraph?
Okay. Much better. Much better.
Xbox 360.
That's very true, Ethan. Good job.
Thank you, Gene.
What else could we do? We could. We've only got one type of object there. Let's put a label inside our window to say what we have. It's a baby ball, by the way. So we need text that says baby ball underneath it, and we want to put it underneath the ball. I spy text objects, and those show up. Aha. Is it page 5? Yeah. Text methods. You're going to have to tell me. We do all the stuff that we already did. Now I'm going to put a label on the ball. Tell me how to make a text object.
Text and then anchor point and text string. Or is it message?
I'm going to have to call it text point. Because I want a separate variable. We'll have to make a point.
And then text string.
I'm doing this incrementally, as you notice. I mean, one little baby step at a time for our baby ball. Text point equals, I know it's going to be some sort of a point. We'll have to mathematically discuss where it should go on the screen. And then all it needs is, beside the point, is a string.
You could make that a variable as well if you want to, but you don't have to.
What's it going to do if we do this? First of all, it's going to complain about the point, I bet you.
Yeah.
Huh?
It might not show up because you didn't give it a point for it to go to.
I don't have a point for it to go to. How did we do the point up here? We parameterized it, is what we say. Parameterized it on width and height. What if I want this baby ball label to go like halfway between where the ball is and the center of the ball and the bottom of the screen? Can you do the math in your head? What are the coordinates we're going to need? How far over do I go for the center of the text if I want it to be right below the baby ball?
So it's like half over, but 3/4 down.
What I'm hearing is width divided by 2, that's half over,
Yeah.
and then 3/4 of the way down.
3/4. Okay, times height. Maybe.
Maybe,
Potentially.
maybe not, and that's ugly, so I'll spread it out.
You got 2 parentheses, clothing parentheses.
Will it work now?
Possibly.
Like that's what I'm saying.
You gonna stake your reputation on it?
No.
Yeah.
You stake my reputation on it?
Sure.
Okay. There's our circle.
Oh,
click, click, click.
It,
Rah.
you didn't put the,
I've got get mouse. It stopped. What do we not have?
A draw.
Draw. Partner. How do we tell it to draw? Same way we did the circle, except this is what?
Text dot draw.
Okay, now, I slipped a convention on you when you weren't watching. Actually, it's built into the library. We know some conventions. If it's symbolic constants, we yell them, all capital letters.
yeah.
If they're variables, it's camel case, lowercase letters. There is a naming convention for object types.
You just put a single letter.
Capital starts with a capital letter and then it's camel cased. Graph win, you'll notice, starts with a capital G and then has a capital W. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, this text object, that does create a text object, but we don't save it anywhere. If we want to use that text object and show it up in our window, that's a verb now, show it up in our window and do all this stuff, we've got to save it in a variable. Now accepting nominations for variable names. I could use lowercase text. That's a different identifier, and it is consistent with the conventions for naming objects and variables and so on. This is a variable, we can tell at a glance, and since that's a capital T, that's a new data type. Now that we've got it, how do we make it show up?
Lowercase t dot draw.
Lowercase t dot draw?
Would be text.
I think it's going to have to be text. That's the name of my variable. Let's switch it to lowercase t. I don't want to add additional unnecessary confusion. So now it is t. T dot draw. Where? On the circle? Circle? On C?
No, on the width.
Not on the width. On the window. On the graphics window.
Yeah, assignment W.
Okay. Is this going to run? It's actually a trick question. I never know if it's going to run or not. We could easily end up with a red paragraph of death. Oh, well, that doesn't look very good, does it? That should probably go down
Tab
further.
lower. It's in the middle though.
Okay.
Centered.
It is centered. We'll grant ourselves that. But how do we move it lower? It needs to be, rather than 3/4 of the height, how much of the height? What if we want to move it halfway down from where it was? 7/8. Maybe that'll work.
In between.
Well, maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't.
6/8 is 3/4, so
We-
you go an eighth down.
You can either drink a lot of coffee and do elaborate math in your head, or you could try it and see what it does.
True.
Well, maybe I drink a lot of coffee and I'm just doing the elaborate math in my head and trying it. So
That-
see?
you were
you
exactly correct.
did it.
Period.
You did it.
I do want to point out nobody was doubting you though.
I doubt myself all the time.
That's fair. That's the biggest person to have on your
By
side.
Jove, I think we got it, except for sufficient and enlightening comments. Have we talked about everything that's here? Close cleans up the window mess after you're done with everything. The W dot close, in general, that's going to be like the last line of your program after everything else is done, because all the graphic stuff has to be done in the graphics window while it's still open. And if you close it too soon, then none of the other stuff will work. Who has other questions or what ifs or hypotheticals or
What if
anything?
you don't close it? Yeah, why does it matter if you close, like,
It might not matter for this program since everything is in one graphics window, but we'll see. I'm clicking the mouse, but nothing's happening. If you don't close it, it just stays on the screen. It doesn't go away.
Can you not just exit? With a little X?
That's ugly. Yeah, you can do that, but that's
Oh, it's just ugly.
believe it or not, that's what we in the biz would call an ungraceful exit.
Oh.
And if anything, we want to be graceful as we exit.
so why does it matter that you have to, like, close it off before you stop and then close the other shell? Does that make sense?
No.
Well, why does it matter if you kill the running program?
Oh, it's just, it doesn't want to do that if you don't want to. It's giving you a chance to save yourself in case you accidentally click the X or something. It asks you if you want to stop the process you were running before it closes the runtime window. Was that the question you were asking?
Yeah, but what's the harm in doing that? Like,
It's just extra steps, and again, it's an ungraceful exit.
okay.
It's all about gracing class.
Well, yes. Not only do we need to learn style, we need to learn grace. Any questions on this? I will document this more completely and sufficiently and email you the source code in case you want to run it yourself and experiment with things. The big question. Why do we have to know this? So you could do that. We have not covered quite enough of the graphics stuff that you could necessarily go immediately to the web and do all this. But we're actually closer than you realize. And we will, next week, talk about Project 3 in excruciating detail. It's not due till a week from Monday to give you time to trial and error stuff like that.
Ooh, it's so pretty.
Thank you. Again, I would not wait till the last minute on this, and I'm still screen recording.
No, we
I'm
don't
over
like
here to stop this.
So we need to wait until Monday's class.
To even think about it, I wouldn't say that, no.
Not to think about it, but like the 2 days.
And cut.